Hello, good afternoon to you all. My name is Edward James. I'm the head of content and analysis at MEED, and I'll be your host for today in the latest webinar by MEED. And I'm very excited today to have with us two very senior executives from Diriyah Company, the developer, of course, of the $63 billion Diriyah giga project on the west of Riyadh. So really excited to hear a little bit more about the Giga project and some of the procurement opportunities and pipeline for projects for all of you to potentially participate in over the next few years or so. We'll be hearing from Diriyah, from Andrew Connor, who is Chief Delivery Officer at Diriyah Company, and his colleague Mohammed Thabit, who is Commercial Executive Director, Design and Development at Diriyah. They'll be giving a presentation on the Diriyah project and some of the ways in which companies can participate and register with them to help deliver this massive $63 billion program. Now, before we start, this presentation or this session is being recorded and will be uploaded online in due course over the next couple of days, so you'll be able to watch it there and then. And my elements or my slides of the project of this webinar will also be sent to you during the course of this webinar. As ever, you will have a chance to submit your questions to Andy and Mohammed and Diriyah Gate during the course of this webinar. After they finish their presentations, then if you submit your questions in the Q&A box, we will have a stab at answering them. And so if you do have any questions for Diriyah, now's your chance to start asking them, and then we'll come round to trying to answer them later on. Now, before we start, I've got a few quick slides on the Saudi Arabia projects market to put everything into context before passing over to Mohammed and Andy. But just to remind everyone that MEED has its Saudi Giga Projects 2024 Premium Intelligence Report. This is a huge report looking at all aspects of the different giga and mega projects in the kingdom. If you are interested in projects in Saudi Arabia, then this is an essential purchase. So if you want to know more, please click on the QR code you can see here, or there's a link up on the top left, and you'll see that there is a special price for those of you who are attending today. There's the code webinar 100 to avail of a special discount. So check it out. Let's move on. I'm also extremely excited to again highlight to you next month on the 13th or 14th of May, in Riyadh, we have our Saudi Giga Projects 2024 Summit, and the next day, the MENA Construction Summit 2024. We have a large number of key stakeholders in the kingdom going to be presenting and talking about their projects. The likes of Riyadh Region Municipality, who's also our diamond partner, New Maraba Development Company, our platinum partner, Diriyah itself as well, Suda Development, Red Sea Global, and many others Giga project clients, as well as some other major clients from in the kingdom. In fact, if we scroll on to the next slide, you'll see that we have a large number of speakers from many of the key government clients. Here you are. Here's a list of them. As you can see, we've also got King Salman Park Foundation. We have Sports Boulevard with the Ministry of Culture. We have Trojena from NEOM also speaking, and Roshan. So we've got some of the biggest names in the Saudi Arabia projects market are going to be speaking and attending the event. So if you are at all interested in the projects market in the kingdom, this is a unmissable opportunity to attend, network, and hear firsthand from the key stakeholders in the market. I'll be there. I'm already extremely excited to come along. Last year was amazing, and this year is going to be even better. So if you are at all interested in attending, then you can click on that QR code you saw earlier to find out a little bit more. Okay, let's move on to the projects market in Saudi Arabia. So this is really just to put everything into context before we look at Diriyah in more detail. So last year, 2023, was the best year by far on record in the GCC in terms of contracts awarded. An astonishing $209 billion worth of contracts were awarded across all sectors. And you can see that's almost double the 2022 number and far in excess of the previous record seen in 2014. An absolutely astonishing year, much of which has been driven by the Giga Projects program and general increases in capital expenditure across the kingdom as a whole. So fantastic time to be in the projects market. And if we look into the next slide, we'll see where this money has been spent. And you can see here of the GCC projects market, Saudi Arabia is by far and away the largest single projects market right now. Some $95 billion worth of contracts awarded last year, way up on the $59 billion in 2022, the previous record. And that's a 60% growth. But the UAE also saw very strong growth between 22 and 23, from $29 billion to $81 billion. So a lot of giga projects influence there, a lot of Dubai real estate, but also a lot of investment in oil and gas last year to help drive the market to record performance. And if we go on to the next slide, please. And as I mentioned, one of the key drivers of this record project spending, particularly in Saudi Arabia, of course, is the Giga Projects program under the 2030 vision of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now, as most of you know, there are 5 official Giga projects. So whether that number stays at 5 or grows over the next 12 months, we'll wait and see. I'm sure it will. But at the moment, there were 5 PIF subsidiary official Giga projects: NEOM, Red Sea Global, Qiddiya, and Roshan, and of course, Diriyah, which we will be focusing on hearing from today. There were a number of other big PIF subsidiary project companies like New Maraba and Suda, Jeddah Central, and Ruwa Medina, and so on. And then also a large number of large mega projects not under the PIF umbrella, such as King Salman Park, Sports Boulevard, and so on. And then, of course, in other sectors, you've still got your huge spending, for example, National Water Company, Saudi Electricity Company, Aramco, of course. And so the Giga Projects program really is just the touch of the tip of the iceberg, really, for overall project spending in the kingdom. Now, we estimate some $880 billion worth of Giga projects in the kingdom, of which about $90 billion has been awarded to date. So we're just barely more than 10% into the Giga Projects program, which highlights just the size of the opportunity to come. And if you're not already involved in the kingdom, in the projects market, well, now is the time to be so and to do so. Let's move on, please. And as you can see, just how much the Giga project market is impacting overall projects market in Saudi Arabia. You can see here that construction, typically the largest single market or sector in the kingdom, that encompasses villas, towers, hotels, malls, leisure facilities, schools, and hospitals. That is leading the way, close to $25 billion of construction projects awarded last year, a new record for the sector in the kingdom. And you can see that very sharp growth since 2020. And that's really as the investments into the construction elements of the Giga projects kick in. Likewise, transport, we saw a big increase in investment over the last 2 years. If you can just go back a slide, please. We can see here that over the last 2 years, there's a big investment in infrastructure. So that's tunneling works, roads, earthworks, and the basic infrastructure behind the Giga Projects program. Now we can move on. Now, we saw a record value of contracts awarded last year. What about the year ahead? Well, the positive story is that there are some $194 billion worth of contracts in tender or out to bid in the GCC. Now, these are the types of contracts you would expect to be awarded over the next few months, and so an excellent indicator of the short-term outlook. And this $194 billion compares very favorably with $110 billion in the pipeline this time last year. Now, of that short-term pipeline, we can see Saudi Arabia has more than half, 55%, equating to about $107 billion of projects in tender or bid evaluation. And that's by far it's more than twice the size of the other markets combined. And when we look at the GCC market by sector, you can see it's nicely spread across different subsectors such as construction, power, transport, and gas. So there's an opportunity for everyone. As I said, there's never been a better time to be involved in the Middle East or GCC projects market, and Saudi Arabia in particular. So that's the short term. Let's look quickly at the long term outlook. There's a massive $2.7 trillion worth of known, planned, and unawarded projects in the region. And as you see again, Saudi Arabia is by far and away the largest market, $1.5 trillion of known future projects. That's more than a double the rest of the GCC market combined. And on the right-hand side in the pie chart, you can see the breakdown of that by sector. Construction is by far and away the largest sector in the pipeline, some $1.5 trillion of the $2.7 trillion pipeline overall. So great long-term prospects, great short-term prospects, and Diriyah, which we're about to hear about in a minute, is a core component of this pipeline. If we move on, please. Just again to repeat, our Giga Projects event on the 13th and 14th of May in Riyadh. This is a really exciting event. You can see all the companies involved below. Got most of the Giga Projects are going to be in attendance and speaking. So really, really excited to attend that, and I hope I can see all of you there in person. If you want to inquire about buying your delegate pass or sponsorship opportunities, then please, there's the QR code. Please click on that to find out more. And then finally, we've got a quick poll question to talk through for you for the different MEED products and how we can support you. As you can see, we've got our news features analysis service, MEED.com. We have MEED Projects, the projects database, our events, as you've just seen, the Giga Projects event, marketing solutions, and our premium intelligence reports. If you could just answer that quick poll question, if you want to, that would be fantastic. And then once that's done, we'll proceed onto the Diriyah presentation. Okay, so before we start with Andy Toner from Diriyah, we have a very quick video to show you about the Diriyah project. It's absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure you'll be amazed by the amount of progress and the project itself. So let's roll on that video. Wow, what a stunning project. Looks absolutely amazing. Now, to hear a little bit more about Diriyah, I'm honored to have with us today Mohammed Tharbit, who's Commercial Executive Director, Design and Development for Diriyah, who we'll hear from in a sec. But right now, we're going to hear first from Andy Tonner, who is Chief Delivery Officer at Diriyah, who will talk through a little bit more detail about his Diriyah project. Andy, over to you.
Thank you, Ed, and welcome everybody to the presentation for Diriyah, celebrated by MEED today, and welcome everybody for, thank you to everybody for joining us. Really good to see the numbers here today, and we're really pleased to share our progress on Diriyah with you. We're one of the 5 PIF giga projects, as everybody probably knows. We've been incorporated since 2019 when we were founded as a project and a development company. So we're really looking forward and have been in existence for 5 or 6 years now, and looking forward to the conclusion of our project, probably towards the end of 2027, 2028. Can I have the next slide, please? Our board of directors are here. Our CEO and our chairman is the Crown Prince. Clearly, we have a very close relationship there. Is our nearby neighbour here in Wadi Hanifa, and we've regular board meetings, which is clearly where we've all our direction, guidance, and feedback from. Next slide. We've a working group who are looking after our program and our projects. Everybody knows Jerry, who's our CEO, Mohammed, our president, and Faisal, our group chief operating officer. You can see Mohammed in there, together with our executive director for health and safety, Isaac, our head of chief supply chain officer, Arif, who's involved with our corporate procurement as well, together with myself and Philip Vaughan. Next slide, please. So for us, Diriyah, what is Diriyah? Obviously, we're an UNESCO World Heritage Site. We aim to be one of the best gathering places in the world. And for anybody who's been around the UNESCO World Heritage Site, you'll see that there's been significant improvements over the last 2 or 3 years. And we're active. So we're not just a development project itself. We're delivering against our mandate. And for that, we've actually got a lot of progress in terms of our delivered projects, active projects, and we're contributing to the local community here in Bujiri, Diriyah, and Samhan at the moment with active and operational projects that we've handed over so far. We have a vision clearly, which is that we're the developer of spaces that shape humanity, and our objective is to dream, create, develop, and deliver meaningful and authentic exchanges between people and places. Our hook clearly is the UNESCO World Heritage Site, and for us, we feel very strong, very passionate, and also very connected to that because of the significance and importance to the Saudi people, and obviously the establishment of the first Saudi state there. So clearly very, very important historically, but we're also a very, very important location in Riyadh, which is the confluence of the Western Ring Road and the King Khalid Road, northwest at Riyadh, right on the edge of Wadi Hanifa, a fantastic site, close to the World Heritage Site, as I say, but equally good transport links with two main highways, 2 arteries, together with a number of metro stations which are very close proximity and to which we'll be adding as we go forward in our development. Thank you. Next. We've got 3 distinct master plans here. Diriyah 1, which was the original master plan, which was approved in 2020, 5.4 square kilometers, mixed-use development comprising hospitality. There's leisure in there. There's museums and there's historic projects together with a grand mosque there. Diriyah 2, which is 6.3 kilometers, which is across the highway, just on the Western Ring Road there between the King Khalid Road and the Western Ring Road. And again, it's got a range of different uses in there, ranging from our opera house, our iconic opera house, through to our arena, and coupled with the NBC studios and a plethora of residential, 14,000 units in there. Our third master plan is larger still, which is Wadi Safar, 62 square kilometres, much more low density, high value development aimed at high net worth individuals. We already have a golf course built up there, and we're getting ready for our first tournament in 2025. So lots and lots of those actually in play. You saw some of them on the last video there, which was predominantly Diriyah 1, but we're very, very active here. And as anyone knows who's in the neighbourhood, I think we've got between 30 and 45 tower cranes at any given time, together with a similar number of mobile cranes every single day. Next slide, please. The key components for Diriyah Gate 1, the most advanced of our master plans is, 8 museums and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's pretty impressive on its own. We've got residential together with a world-class university in King Salman University, offices, commercial offices. We've got hospitality, and there's 15 upper luxury and luxury hotels with 2,000 plus keys here. Retail and F&B, we've got almost 300,000 square meters of GFA. Flagship retail, some very, very high level retailers coming from some not represented yet in the Middle East, others previously represented. But lots of fine dining, and our fine dining goes back to places like Bujeri, where we've got 3 Michelin star restaurants open already, together with our other offerings. And we're very focused on community, so education is important. 110,000 square meters of GFA of schools and universities in DG1. Diriyah 1, if you look at the land area, I think I referenced 5.4 square kilometers. The 15 hotels is there, looking like just under 10,000 residents, and a residential GFA of 476,000 square meters. Lots of the residential to the south. This is essentially a walking district. We've got over 10,000 car parking spaces beneath the ground. Those are built. You saw some of that on the video earlier. So those are built and ready to go. We've got gyratory road underneath. We've got north and southbound tunnel. Some real feats of civil engineering under there at the moment, and we're building that out at quite a pace. Can we move on to DG2? Now, infrastructure. Our infrastructure is moving very, very quickly. As I said, this gives a sense of the scale of that. So we have a 6-lane highway underneath the Diriyah Gate 1, leading from north to south, connecting back into the Western Ring Road using what we call a gyratory. We've also got our services and infrastructure using the same network. And that's very much underway. We're now backfilling on top of the tunnels. So those have been being worked on for the last 2+ years, and we're very close to completing those, and then using some of that infrastructure for servicing of our projects and the fit out for our tenants. This is an image of the central portion of Diriyah Gate 1. This is called Diriyah Square. This has got the gyratory road circumnavigating it. To the north of the picture at the top of the screen is the Western Ring Road. We excavated just under 7 million cubic meters of rock to facilitate this project. And Salini, our partner, is actually building what essentially is the below deck car parking. So we're just arriving at ground level at this point, and we've been on this project just over 2.5 years now. So great progress being made. Very, very impressive in terms of the civil engineering, the infrastructure, the coordination that's going on. A lot of collaboration with the above ground structure, where we've got 6 hotels. We've got a retail scheme. The 300,000 square meters of retail will sit in here as well, nestle on top. Just under 400 retail units to go on there. We've also got, as I say, hotels. There's residential nearby, and there's a very large-scale mosque which sits on here. All of this is elevated and overlooks the Wadi into Wadi Hanifa. So very, very impressive in terms of the location. The vistas are pretty impressive as well. So not only do we have connectivity, but we've got connection with the highways, but also back into the beauty of Wadi Hanifa and looking across the UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is a snapshot of one of our hotels, the Rosewood. It just gives you a sense of the Najdi heritage influence that we have in the hotel. So whilst there's quite a large influence, our project is mandated not to be any higher than 2 to 3 stories. So it's very much a linear horizontal project. We don't have high rise at all, and we're constrained by a lot of governance, particularly in relation to the mud typology, which is a Najdi traditional approach to building, and you can see that influence coming across in some of the design here. This is the Art Futures building. It's one of the buildings that we finished in Samhan. It's just been TOC'd in the last couple of weeks. It's contemporary art. So again, Schiattarella, the designer out of Italy, some very interesting challenges in terms of the stonework. There's some rammed earth there on the outside. There's also a contemporary gallery. It's not a museum or an art gallery in the traditional sense. It's much more media-based and focused on visiting artists and creativities. So it's slightly different from the traditional mud, but I think that's what's interesting here. Across the road from it, we'll see in a second, is the Bab Samhan Hotel, which will be opening this coming summer. We've done the large percentage of the work there, and this shows our early commitment to the community. This is in Samhan, which is off the main Diriyah Gate 1 site, but it's also close to the Bujeri Terrace, which is reinvigorating that community. We've also enhanced and improved the public realm, looking at landscape, looking at parking, which is a big, important and significant element to us. The lack of parking around the various existing areas has been a problem for the local community, but also our new built assets, and we want to try and improve the circulation and the overall amenity for our developments. This is a shot of Bujeri Terrace at night. This is not a CGI. This is a finished and completed project where we've got terraced restaurants. As I say, 22, 23 restaurants there, 3 Michelin star restaurants. These restaurants overlook and provide amenity to the UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is walkable from this location, and provides a cluster of amenities where you can eat, enjoy the location, the vista, and the entertainment which we provide there as well, ahead of either visiting the UNESCO World Heritage Site or just taking your family out for dinner. This is a daylight shot, and you can see that we've had to replicate some of the traditional Najdi architecture. And again, some of the challenges that we've had is making these user-friendly for our tenants, but also for the general public, and trying to create an environment which is complementary to the UNESCO World Heritage Site, whilst actually succeeding in assisting the retail and food and beverage tenants with modern infrastructure, serviceability, car parking, and below there we've got a valet parking arrangement beneath. So it's really quite an interesting and enjoyable location. Lots of greenery there. You wouldn't imagine that you're in the middle of the desert, and it's really quite a lovely adjunct to the UNESCO World Heritage Site. Again, the green that you saw at the bottom of the previous picture is Wadi Hanifa. These are some statistics: 22 kilometers of walking, biking, and hiking and horse trails, 6.5 million plants, trees, and shrubs. Again, we're already we've advanced purchased a lot of these. Some of them have been installed already. Luxury hotels being placed. So it's utilization of existing space, upgrading the landscape, the infrastructure, but the overall amenity for the people of Riyadh. Our job here is to create an improved and more attractive lifestyle destination for the community, and also provide greater amenity. And I think we're doing that right now. So not only are we building new facilities, we're enhancing existing facilities, making sure that they're available and operational for our community. And that's what's going on now. These areas are operational right now and can be used and enjoyed by the general public. Next. This gives a sense of the sort of image. These are finished areas inside Wadi Hanifa, and it just gives a sense of the walking path there through some of the palm groves, which were taken back from some of the previous users. Diriyah 2 is a very large, incredible size of development. 279 square kilometres of retail F&B, 206,000 square metres of GFA in schools, residential 17,000 apartments, townhouses and villas residential, etc. And we have a number of cultural and iconic buildings you'll have seen in LinkedIn and other publications recently. The launch of our Opera House, we've got a 20,000 seat arena, Saudi Arabia Museum of Contemporary Art, Exhibition Centre, Grand Mosque and other landmark assets. The hospitality is over 3,000 keys. So you can imagine we've a significant range of hotels, 15 varying from high-end luxury to mid-scale business hotels, because we need a full range of these hotels. This will also house a lot of business in this district and residential. So essentially we've a lot of different uses. It's a true typical mixed-use scheme, which is underway right now with lots of the infrastructure ongoing. Muck shift is going on. We've got 380 kVA cables going in there, a lot of interface with roads diversions. We just finished a Western Ring Road diversion, opened the tunnel, the Western Ring Road, and we'll soon be coming up with a further diversion on the King Khalid Road, which will also be lowered by 10 metres, so we have to divert all traffic from that one as well. So fairly heavy infrastructure going on and going in at the minute. Numbers again, 6.3 square kilometres is a master plan, GFA 5.2 million square metres. The hotels, 15 of those with just under 4,000 keys. And if you look at the residential, 17,000 units representing 71,000 approximately residents that live there in the end. So whilst we're removing a lot of people at the minute from places like Kozama, we're acquiring a lot of sites. We're introducing the new landscape, we're introducing new infrastructure, but we're also doing a lot of repatriation of the population here. It'll be a pretty nice place to live. That's walkable and connected into DG1. So we'll have a Heroes Deck bridge, which runs to the left hand of this screen, and that will connect you back into the Diriyah 1 scheme. And we've got 3 metro stations here as well. So lots of parking. There's lots of walkable areas, but we also have connectivity with other parts of the city, and obviously up to places like the airport, the King Abdullah Financial District, etc. is very close to this as well. Next. This just gives a sense of one of the CGIs for the arena, 73,000 square meters, pretty iconic looking building, 20,000 spectators, and we're excavating over there very, very soon. So lots happening in that particular project. Next. This is our Opera House. Again, very iconic structure, selected personally by the Crown Prince. Hosting over 2,000 people, and we're very proud of this one. A lot of early works going on at the minute, pre-planning, and we'll be getting that going full steam ahead by the end of this year. Next. Wadi Safar. This is where a golf course is, Greg Norman Golf Course. It's about 15 minutes from our main site. It's in the hills up in Wadi Safar. It's absolutely breathtaking landscape up there. The geology is fantastic. 62 square kilometres, as we said, 2.2 million square metres of residential GFA, a little bit of retail up there, but this is predominantly a residential site with leisure use, entertainment, with 9 hotels. Very high-end residential, a lot of plot sales going on up there at the moment, and then parks and trails. So we're interested in golf up there, we're interested in hotel and leisure experience, but also it's a place for high net worth individuals to escape from the rigors of work and life in Riyadh. Wadi Safar, this just gives you a sense of the scale of it, the different projects which are on there. We've got the Equestrian and Polo Club, the first in Saudi Arabia. We've got an Oberoi up there. We've got Faina. We've got multiple hotels, as we said. The Falcon's Nest Hotel with 6 Senses. So lots and lots. Probably the largest Amman hotel we're going to see in the kingdom up there as well, which is getting larger and larger. And as I say, the golf club we've already finished, and you'll see some images of that as we go on through this presentation. So we're ready for action in some respects, but there's a lot of support and assistance we need from our contracting fraternity and our consulting fraternity, and we'll get into that in a few short minutes. Again, this is giving a sense of one of our CGIs for Equestrian and Polo Club. We had a launch up there just before the holidays, end of last year. So it's coming together, the plans for that and the design. Next. This gives you a sense of the scale of the Amman Hotel. Is on two discrete plots on this mountain. It gives you a sense of the overall topography that we're dealing with. Just to the bottom end of the photograph here is a sliver of the golf course, which is you can see the connectivity back up to the hotel there. So very, very impressive, very challenging location in terms of construction, delivery, logistics, laydown, all of that sort of stuff. So we're looking for some very, very strong partners to help us with this. Next. And this gives a sense of the type of architecture we're using. We're seeing another interpretation of Najdi architecture, which is depicted with some of the triangles, Athelwood, mud render on top of the mud blocks that we're using as well. So quite a challenging typology to build. But again, we're getting lots of experience with some of our earlier projects in places like Bujiri and Samhan. Next. This is a shot actually of a driving range for anybody that's not quite got that. So again, the turf is bedding in at this point. This is last January. I think it's a whole lot more green now, but it just gives you a sense of the challenges that we had in terms of building this, creating the bowl, but also the irrigation, the TSE that we need to get up the hill, up to the Wadi Safar. These are all Herculean tasks in terms of projects, but we think that our designer, Greg Norman, is very, very pleased with it. It's coming together. And as I say, watch this space for some announcements on the golf course for the first quarter, second quarter 2025 for some very large scale international events. Next. This is the Eastern Gate leading into Wadi Safar. You can see it's very grand. It's complete. We're ready to go with a lot more construction up there. But in terms of our sales, it was important that we show people the scale, the quality, and this sort of grandiosity of what we're trying to build up there. And this gives maybe a sense of your sense of arrival as you appear at the Eastern Gate and check in for security. Next. And this is our experience and sales centre for Wadi Safar. Just gives you a sense of the quality that we're after. We do a lot of our land sales up here at the moment. We hold a lot of the internal events. So it's something that we built over the last couple of years. We're up and running with that as well. Obviously, that's not necessarily open to the public unless you're prepared to buy one of our plots. But it just, again, gives you a sense of the type of architecture, the type of quality that we're after, and a general sense of where we're pitching this particular project. And that's an outside view of the Experience Centre. Again, there's a little putting green out on the right-hand side there, which is where we had a launch for Greg Norman, the golf course, just at the end of 2023. Next. Okay, let's get to the meat and drink of this thing. You know, Diriyah Development Company, your preferred strategic partner. I think in 2023 we we recognize that there's an awful lot of competition in this market, and there's an awful lot of contractors who are being offered a lot of potential opportunities. And we saw this as a time for us to actually refocus on what was our modus operandi. How do we make ourselves attractive to the contracting market, and how do we actually become much more efficient and build on our economy of scale? So we revisited a lot of our approach to how we procure our projects and how we actually interact with our contracting market. So, what we want to do is sell who we are, who DGD is, and what we're all about. And clearly, we're one of the more developed giga projects. We started off in 2019. We've been around a bit, and we want to be much more collaborative. We want to ensure that we're looking at partnerships, we're looking at early contractor engagement, and that we want to make sure that anything that we do is best in class, whether that be health and safety, whether it be the quality of our product. And we want to evolve and develop quality standards and best in class products here for Saudi Arabia. Next. What I wanted to do now is hand you over to Mohammed Tabit, who's our head of commercial here and who I work hand in glove with. Mohammed's been at DGDA for over 3 years now, has seen it right from very much the inception, and he's now leading our commercial and contract teams. Mohammed, over to you.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Ed, for giving us this chance to present our portfolio and share with the attendees what we're doing in Diriyah. Not only we talk the talk, we walk the walk as well with all the assets we have delivered over the past 3 years. So it's a good opportunity for us to also share with the attendees what we're planning to do in the next 12 months and beyond. So building on what Andy has presented on DG1, I'm not going to go through the details of DG1, but in terms of geographics, so we have each master plan divided into districts, and within each district there's assets. We have a flexible procurement strategy and approach that enable us to engage with a wide variety of contractors. So we're going to take you today with what opportunities we have for contractors with different scales, with specialist contractors as well, the SMEs for MEP and fit out predominantly, and also what is our engagement model with suppliers and manufacturers. So here we have the different districts in DG1 and DG2. In DG1, and you already touched upon Diriyah Square, which is in the middle of the left part of the master plan. What you see in yellow is already districts which are predominantly in tender or has been awarded. Construction is ongoing. For the ones which is highlighted in brown, it's we are in the early works doing earthwork or excavation, but it's partially awarded as well. Next slide, please. And this is Wadi Safa. As Andy mentioned, it's low density. So we have hospitality projects, predominantly hotels, which are built on 70,000 square meter of land. It's some sort of desert resort blend. So we have a wide variety of operators working with us on those hotels, as you can see on the screen. Phase 1 or package 1 has been already tendered. Phase 2 not yet. We expect overall around 60 billion SAW contracts to be awarded between Q2 24 and Q2 25. Of course, this is adding to the significant number of tender and awards of contracts which Ed was touching upon here in Saudi. So we understand the pressures the supply chain is facing, and we, as we're going to show you, we're going to demonstrate how we're trying to share the risk and have sustainable and collaborative approach with the supply chain. Next slide, please. So we're going to start with opportunities for main contractors and specialty contractors. So we have engaged over the past 9 months with the supply chain, try to understand what are the current challenges which they're facing. So I think the feedback of main contractors and specialty contractors was revolving around 6 main items. One of them was the high number of small value tenders, which they have to deal with, and each one of them has its level of effort that is equal to a high SAR value tenders. So definitely the estimation team was under pressure. Long tendering process, which we understand has been prevailing previously. Excessive tender bonds locked for extended time, which affects the supply chain financial capability to meet new tender demands. Contracts which has more penalties than rewards, lack of contractors' technical input on the design, which is being developed by our designers, and a long payment cycle. So based upon these concerns, we have restructured the way we approach the supply chain, as we're going to see in the next slide. So we have developed a more flexible procurement approach to have a wide range of packages value that will enable us to leverage a wide variety of contractors with different scale. Simplified and expedited tender process. So we are now reducing our tender process, our decision-making process, to enable contractors to have certainty of when the tender can be turned into a contract. Open and direct relationship with the contractors. So we are in continuous discussion with contractors, trying to see how we can improve the interface between us and between them. Supporting contractor cash flow, but we have done multiple initiatives to support contractors' cash flow. We understand that cash flow is the lifeblood of the industry here. So we started with reducing our payment cycles to the minimums that we can. I think DGD is one of the fastest paying PIF companies in KSA. We're also considering reduction of the bonds wherever it is possible and practical. Early contractor engagement, and I think that was a game changer for us. The early contractor engagement with us during the design stage will enable us to optimize the designs from a constructability perspective and also sourcing and cost efficiency. Profit sharing mechanism, and this is something which we are introducing in our new procurement models, where if the contractor will be able to do some value engineering, we can share the profit with the contractor. Collaborative approach to the supply chain activation. And one of the issues which we understand main contractors are facing is they have to deal with a multilateral level of supply chain from subcontractors, suppliers, manufacturer, where the collective risk-taking might not be feasible for the main contractor to take. So we have started to explore how we can engage with manufacturer and suppliers and subcontractors to fix pricing and then agree with main contractor to use them, so we can reduce risks and of course the premium associated with it. And balance supply chain risk sharing, and this is where we're looking into our conditions of contract, and we have developed a new condition of contract where we can have balanced risk sharing with the contractor. We understand this will help us to have a sustainable and balanced relationship with the supply chain, which is key for us to deliver what we have to deliver. Next slide, please. So what is our expectations from contractors? So of course it is the early input on buildability and constructability. We understand that contractors are best to advise us on this, since they are the one who have the expertise in building and delivering. Program improvement, of course, program for us is a high priority. So DGDA or our portfolio of master plans will have to be ready before Expo. So it's part of Vision 2030. Focus on local material, and this is important for us as part of the local content government initiative. Contractors with their interaction with the supply chain, they'll be able to advise us and increase the local content in our projects. Design optimization and value engineering, which is part of the early input during tender or after the award of contracts. Efficient supply chain management by main contractor, drive contact and modular initiative, and this is very important for us because it's part of our vision to start to look into how we can move part of our construction from site to factory. Effective communications and fast decision making by contractors. We see a lot of contractors who are engaged in JVs. Sometimes the communication and decision making is lagging behind. We are in open discussion and communication with them how we can make the decision making on their side a little bit faster. Next slide, please. Our tender process. So our tender process is extremely simple. It starts with an expression of interest for contractors who are being invited to our tender, shortlisting for tender. As you can see, we're trying to keep the timeline on our side to the minimum while giving the supply chain and contractors a reasonable time for them to be able to price. The proposal preparation, which includes the technical and commercial by contractor, we allow around 6 to 8 weeks. Our proposal review, it will take 3 to 4 weeks. This will include if any negotiation meetings or clarification will have to take place with the contractors, and then 1 to 2 weeks for the final negotiation and award. Next slide, please. And for the specialist provisional sum tender process, so a lot of our tenders with the main contractors might include some provisional sums, which will happen in parallel in a collaborative approach with the main contractor. So we list the subcontractors which we're going to use with the main contractor. We issue the proposal to the market to be priced. Proposal is reviewed, and then a nomination of the specialist contractor to the main contractor will take place. Next slide, please. And we have opportunities for suppliers as well, where we are trying to use the economy of scale of our portfolio to try to get some preferred pricing based on framework agreements, which our main contractors and specialist subcontractors, they can leverage and use. So these are some statistics of how much is the quantities which we have on the key construction material which we're looking into having frameworks with suppliers. Some of them is already under tendering and procurement. So we have rebar around 1.2 million tons, natural stone about 12 million square meter, and natural stone, as you have seen in all the renders, it's a key component of all our assets, being part of a heritage site or trying to integrate with a heritage site. Tiles, 1.5 million square meter, doors around 350K between wooden door, aluminum doors, and hollow metal doors. Electrical, we have 4 million units of light fixtures, switches, sockets. HVAC, around 140,000 units. Sanitary ware, around 660,000 units. This includes the fixtures, fittings, and accessories. Modular is a key initiative which we're trying to implement right now. So we have a lot of opportunities with manufacturers and contractors who are willing to help us move construction from site to factory. So we have around 3 million square meter of 3D volumetric modules, and we have 3 million square meter of facades, 7 million square meter of slabs, 10 million square meter of internal walls, 50,000 units of bathroom pods, and 16,000 units of kitchen. What is our expectations from our suppliers? It's to build long-term strategic partnership with Diriyah, transparent collaborative relationship, optimal selection of material with a focus on the local content, of course, value-driven approach. We understand that cheap or expensive is relative. What we're looking for is value for money. So value-driven approach is best approach which we can take with our suppliers. Innovative supply chain management. We understand the challenges which manufacturers, subcontractors, and contractors are facing currently with shipping risks, and shipping costs, which are hard to be estimated. So we're looking for an innovative way how we can rely on the supply chain management to be with the manufacturer, with the specialist contractor, and the main contractor. Efficient site-wide logistics. This is part of the challenge which we're facing in Diriyah. We expect the peak of labor will be somewhere between 20 to 30,000 labor. Correct me if this number is not correct, Andy, but I think it was somewhere around this. So we're trying as much as possible to have the logistics and the demand and pressure on the road network surrounding outside be kept to a minimum. This is something which our suppliers and manufacturer, with proper coordination with the program, we can have the material delivered when it is needed, not too much in advance or late. effective communication, adaptability, and flexibility. And this is something which we see and note in the supply chain and across all levels. We believe that there's an evolution in the past 2-3 years. Here we see the supply chain is being more flexible and more adaptable to the changing circumstances which the giga projects are adding to them every day. Next slide, please. So our registration process is quite simple. So we have an email which you can see on the screen. If you want to take a note of this, it's vendors@diriyah.sa. By sending an email to our vendor registration team, they will get in touch with you with all the documents that will be required for registration. The registration period should not be very long. However, it depends whether the documents are complete or incomplete. The documents requirement will vary whether you are a local vendor or an international vendor. But for the local vendors, it's going to include very typical documents which you have to do. You have to do business here in Saudi Arabia, from the commercial registration to the zakat certificate, certificate of Saudization, and the value-added tax, etc. And for international vendors, it's a much simpler documents, but it also includes the financial statement, trade license, and no conflict of interest with DGD or DGCL. So if we'll go back to the slide which has the registration email, we are looking forward to have more requests for registration. We will definitely need every level of the supply chain, and we will need every expertise available in the supply chain to deliver our portfolio, which include a variety of assets and variety of expertise. So thank you so much again, Ed, for giving us the chance to present our portfolio. And thank you, Andy. Always nice to have you with me in our presentations.
Thank you, Mohammed, and thank you, Andy, for that absolutely fascinating presentation. I'm sure all of you listening in today, more than 650 of you, are all very excited and eager to participate on the Diriyah project. Now, we've got time for a couple of questions from you all, so please submit your questions in the Q&A box, and even if we don't have time to answer them, we will try to look at them after the session. Just to let you know, this is all being recorded and will be uploaded onto the internet over the next couple of days, so you will have a chance to watch it again and take notes as well in your own time. But quickly, Mohammed, I've got a question for you before we take questions from the attendees. How is Diriyah responding to the current supply challenges in order to deliver its projects? I know you mentioned logistics, for example. So how are you helping companies with this?
I think, as we have seen in the presentation, we're dealing with a wide variety of assets and asset classes, which will require the help and support of all the supply chain. What we're trying to foster a sustainable and collaborative relationship with the supply chain. This is by using our flexible multilateral procurement approach to balance risks, and also to be able to support the supply chain with their current demand and pressure from the supply and demand dynamics in Saudi. So with main contractors, we're trying to enhance their financial exposure by managing ourselves to give them a better cash flow and reduce their exposures to financial institution with so many bonds, bonds are in big values that they require to submit for those projects. So we're trying to reduce this to enable them to have some level of comfort about their exposure. We also trying to explore the initiatives of modulars and off-site manufacturing as much as we can. This will enable the supply chain and us to save costs and also to manage the logistics challenge, which is really becoming an issue in Riyadh nowadays. And we don't want to make it a bigger problem when we reach our peak. And also it will help us to meet our sustainability target and reduce our carbon footprint.
Thank you, Mohammed. And it's good to see Diriyah so understanding of the market conditions right now. Andy, one question from me before we turn to the attendees. What strategies has Diriyah developed to meet the evolving needs of contractors in the sector? We've seen already some of them, but can you expand a little bit?
I think we probably don't have enough time to go into all the detail, Ed. However, I think Mohammed just sort of explained the fact that this approach of much more collaboration, and we can look at this in multiple levels, whether it's in terms of logistics management, in terms of we've even been looking at things like shared labour camps, so that we can optimise and facilitate the labour accommodation for our contractors. We've looked at improving laydown areas. So we've lots of external laydown areas where we've got sort of, at the moment, we've got some fairly heavy bridges for tunnels and bridges, where we're actually laying them down within 15 to 20 kilometres of the city. We're then doing just-in-time deliveries, and we're collaborating. So those sites belong to us. We're also very mindful of the access and egress, as Mohammed said. We're looking at how we can collaborate to make sure that there's timed deliveries, timed shifts, overnight working, all of these things where we're actually working to try and help facilitate. And of course, we're always very interested to hear feedback from the contractors themselves. They've got the best ideas invariably. They've got sound experience and expertise that they can bring to the party. But I think that we're constantly engaging with many of the top contractors here in the kingdom and overseas, with a view to looking at areas for collaboration, particularly, as Mohammed said, he amplified some of the system building, prefabrication. We know that speed is of the essence at the moment. We need to build quickly. We need to build efficiently, and if we can do so off-site, then it's so much easier for us in terms of managing quality, in terms of managing the deliverability of this, and getting the progress that we need to accomplish. So many different facets, Ed, that we're looking at, but we're always keen to explore bigger, smarter, safer ways to exploit the opportunity.
Thank you, Andy. So we're running a little bit over time. So we'd have just a few minutes to take some of your questions. I know Mohammed and Andy have been reading through them. Mohammed, perhaps you'd like to take the first one and give it a quick, brief answer.
Yeah, so it's a question from Najib Al-Zain, and the question is, I'm going to read it as is, will you be involved in local procurement to encourage the local manufacturers, or only the contractors will handle all the procurement? So it's again, it's going back to our multilateral procurement approach, where we are dealing with main contractors, we're dealing with specialty SMEs, subcontractors, and we're dealing with manufacturers. One of our mandate is to increase the local content in our product as much as we can. This will be by direct discussion with local manufacturer. We would like to see small to medium sized local manufacturer growing their business, leveraging the busy construction market in Saudi Arabia and become bigger in terms of scale. Also, JVs between locals and between international to transfer the expertise is one of the things which we're trying to help local and international contractors and manufacturers to reach in terms of a great partnership. So the answer to the question is we are directly involved in the procurement of material as well, not all of them, but many of the items where we have presented in our presentation, we are in discussion with local manufacturers and suppliers for them. So we are directly engaged in the procurement of material as well.
Mohammed, Andy?
I've got a couple here, Ed. Several who are interested from a consultancy perspective, some anonymous and some from others specify their name. How can they get on the list? Again, if they use that email that's on the screen at the moment, really that's the best way to do it. We've a vendor list not only for contractors but also for suppliers and for consultants. And as you can imagine, we've got a very large number of designers, infrastructure consultants, etc., who are all providing services to us, and we continue to review that on a regular basis to make sure that we try and afford everybody the opportunity based on their competency, their specialism, and their expertise in the region. So I think just to reinforce that we're open to all, but we really need to make sure that the capability is there, and we do that through the reviews that go on once the registration is complete and before we actually issue our expressions of interest.
Thank you. And perhaps one more question each from both of you. So Mohammed, perhaps one final question and answer.
It's a question from Michael, and it's about whether we will have a small-scale contractor packages in our pipeline. Well, definitely we will. We have a wide variety of packages to enable us to tender it out to a various scale of contractors. I would say small packages in below 100 million will have this in scale in our pipeline, together with high SAR value packages also, which will go to grade A main contractors. So we have a wide variety that will we're trying to get a wide variety that will enable us to deal with various levels of contractors and supply chain.
Thank you. And one final question and answer from you, Andy.
Thanks, Ed. I've picked up one here from Michal Wojtkiewicz at 2 o'clock. Thanks for the informative presentation. Are the upcoming tenders and opportunities primarily for main contractors and fit-out companies, or do you also have a medium architectural projects in the pipeline? I think Mohammed is just responded to that, but I think it's important just to say that there's a variety of opportunities here. And whilst we're very focused, I think in some of the presentation on large scale, we've got a number of different opportunities which we're keen to hear from differing types, scales, and sizes of companies as part of this exercise.
Great, thank you. Well, I'm sure we could talk all day. I think you've so many questions that will keep we could talk for forever. But unfortunately, time, as Annie said, is of the essence, not just for the delivery of the project, but for this webinar as well. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Andy Tonner, who's Chief Delivery Officer at Diriyah, and his colleague Mohammed Thabit, who is Commercial Executive Director, Design and Development. It's been an honor having you here with us today. Thank you so much for your time, giving us the presentation about your amazing Diriyah Giga project, as well as answering some of the questions. We haven't had a chance to answer all your questions, but we have noted them down, and we will share them with Diriyah, and perhaps we'll be able to get back to you in due course. Well, that's it for now. Thank you again, gentlemen, so much, and to Diriyah for joining us today. I hope you all found it very informative and valuable. You've seen the way to contact Diriyah to register and pre-qualify with them. So you have all the tools now at your disposal to participate in the project, and I wish you all a very, very best with that. For now, I'd like to say goodbye to you all, and hope to see you all again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed, for hosting us. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you.